CSP is back at you on this Sunday evening. We have got a loaded slate for you, my pals. I'm one of your co-hosts, Barry. Just one of them. Here with my ever-dependable co-host. First of all, we got Joe.
Hello, everybody.
Second of all, we got Paul.
Hello, hello.
And I tell you what CSP stands for this week, folks. It is the Cautiously Sick podcast. Because I don't know if it's hanging out in the CSP studio with Paul too much. But now I'm sick. So thanks for nothing.
That's all the kissing we were doing.
Yeah, and you told me you were feeling good. So you deceived me.
I told you that the doctor gave me the clean sheet.
Yeah, it was I licked the computer that we record on as well. But like,
me too.
Yeah, is a man not entitled to the taste of his own computer?
No.
Yeah, I'm sick. I feel like I was just getting over the hay fever symptoms, and then I've got the good old fashioned common cold podcast here. So I'm powering through it. I'm not man flu.
I'm over my sick.
Oh, good for you.
So I'm good now. I still have maybe do one cough a day, maybe two coughs. If
Cough
I was
syrup podcast.
Spicy. Cough syrup podcast. There you go. But no, I'm feeling good.
But other than that, I've had a fairly standard week. I'm not letting my illness get me down. I have the most boring item in the history of Life Golf, if you guys want to hear it.
Cool.
I upgraded to Windows 11 this week.
Wow, rebel.
I know, it's pretty hardcore of me. It seems about the same. Yeah. One thing I do like though, and this is boring, but I'm going to say it anyway because I do like it. I do like that the Explorer, like Windows Explorer, now has like tabs like a web browser. So you can open a folder in another tab instead of another window. Isn't that great? I'm in my 30s, all right? I gotta take these joys wherever I can. But yeah, very quiet week for me. Other than that, how have you boys' week been?
Good. I was shopping yesterday. So this is a full week removed from Easter. My Easter egg, it was tremendous, as we discussed. But I was shopping, and the last couple of years, I'm used to the shops just getting totally wiped of all egg product. I remember last year, it was even Good Friday-ish, it might have been. Me and my friend were going shop to shop to try to find an egg for somebody. You couldn't find them for love nor money.
What are you, an American, folks? Have you seen the news lately? Pick up a newspaper.
Yeah. But a week removed, I was able to get myself one of these orange Smartie eggs for €1.75.
Pretty good.
Tesco on sale, down from €7 to €1.75. So they had loads of them.
So on here as well.
Yeah.
Normally, they happen for years. Normally, I go in the day after thinking, there'll be a few cheap eggs.
This is the first year in about 7-8 years that they've had the cheap eggs after Easter.
Too many eggs, yeah.
Do you think it is eggflation? Because I mean, I know whinging about the cost of living is like the shared hobby of both our nations. But I feel like this year, everyone I spoke to was just so insanely pissed off about how much chocolate eggs cost. So did not buy less, and now they're cheaper, and now there's leftover ones for the post.
No, kids just don't care about Easter eggs anymore. They like chicken jockey, and they like
V-Bucks.
Yeah,
they want Sabrina Carpenter in Fortnite,
yes.
which I got, by the way.
Barry.
It was only 20 quid. What?
I'm sorry, what? You
she comes with a little dance. This that me espresso. Yeah,
I'm going to Google this. Sabrina.
Yeah, no, I'm not even joking. I posted a picture of it as well.
Now it's real.
No, this is real. This is a shoot, brother.
Sabrina Carpenter is the Fortnite Festival SA icon. Oh dear.
Yeah, and she comes with a little dance and a little microphone thing to attack people with.
And you're getting married this year, is that right?
Yeah. It just goes to show, you know, it can happen to anyone.
Does Brona listen to this?
I mean, she used to, but then she was like, okay, I don't need to listen to this. She was like, all right,
bad enough seeing him do all this, hearing him talk about it.
Yeah, because she would, because in the early days, I mean, she listened to the pod, she watched the streams, and then she's like, you know what? I can do something else while I was doing this.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear all about that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's this I think maybe there's a waning interest in the eggs, and I do think the cost is a thing. I feel like I got more. I got a lot this year though, because I also got quite a lot of both me and my partner got like corporate eggs, as part of the job. But yeah. So that's Smarty. What is that? Is that like Terry's chocolate orange flavored?
Basically, it's a different company, but it is more or less.
I know that it's the Smarty Corporation.
Yeah. It's not as good, but it's more or less kind of the same thing. Yeah, even before Easter, there were eggs on sale. You don't see that very often. So, some sort of
crazy
change of the guard in terms of what they're doing with Easter eggs. Yeah, I mean, they're getting smaller and the price is getting bigger. So, there's going to be a tipping point somewhere. But I'll keep buying them. I'm an egg mark. I don't mind. The other news is in regards to the place I'm buying. So we had, when you sign up for your mortgage, you get a letter of offer that is valid for 6 months. Nowadays, it's valid for 12 months, which would have been useful if that was the case when I applied. I don't know when that changed within the last 6 months. But anyway, I was messaging the solicitor going, hey, any update because our letter of offer is expiring soon? Any update? Our letter of offer is expiring soon. Our letter of offer is expiring on April 15th, I think it was. A letter of offer is expiring, so we got to get it moving because the letter of offer, And I said, I'm concerned because we might need to then reapply for the mortgage, blah, blah. Frankly, the mortgage application was probably the easiest part of this whole process, so that's not the end of the world. But April 15 came and went, and there was no update. And then I got an email 4 days later. We're ready for you to come in. I'm like, what about all those emails I sent you?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got an email from the auctioneer who was asking, what's all the delay about? The sellers are contacting us asking what the delay is about. Asking me. I'm the one waiting for 6 months. Nothing on my side as far as I'm aware, has been pending me during the last 6 months. I've obviously hired the most incompetent solicitor in the world.
Door boss. You get the confirmation.
So, anyway, I did call up the bank, and they are going to be able to fast track some of the mortgage application, and we won't have to supply every document again. Maybe some updated pay slips and that.
Are you sure the actual solicitors are not like indie wrestlers? Just like his solicitors.
Paul Heyman was sitting in the office when I went there. Oh yeah, you'll get this money. Yeah, sure. But it does look like we're approaching the final steps now after an absolute age. So
it will all be worth it.
Knock on wood. The next month or so, we'll get her done. So let's see.
What about you, Joe? How's life going?
Good. Michelle returned. Yesterday.
Did her music play as she came to?
Yeah. So that was did do a lot this week, I'll be honest. Kind of mainly ate sandwiches.
Well, she'd be jet lagged, I suppose, right?
Yeah, no, I mean before she came back. I was.
You were jet lagged thinking about it.
When because I had this big plan. I'm going to do so many walks while she's away. I'm going to do a lot of big walks, and I did like 3 in the first 5 days, and then was like, I don't want to walk anywhere ever again. So
to the fridge and back to the couch. That was the walk you were doing.
Just about. So so that was that. So she came back yesterday. I just had a chilled one, and we did go out today. We went up to the IMAX, London IMAX. Was a little film. Only kind of positive and negative was that it's London Marathon Day, and the city is heaving with both run. I think there were something like 50,000 people just running.
What?
In the actual, wait, that can't be right. Hang on. But it was something crazy like that. And then obviously you've got all the people going along to support, which is 56,000 runners take.
Jeez.
I mean, that's for a lot of cities, that would be like a huge amount. And that's just the people running. That's not the people going along and cheering. So, we were on the train. Obviously, a lot of people with their signs of support and stuff. That was really nice to see. But I did mean the city was packed. And to the point where even like a phone signal wasn't working because there's so many people in one space. We couldn't even get 5G. Yeah, but it was good. And then on the way home, we did see a lot of people who had finished and were getting the train home with their families. That was really sweet. They had their medals on and stuff. It was like really nice to see. So yeah, that's about it. Really, it's been a lovely sunny week. So. Living life.
Yeah, I went for a nice drive because it was so nice. Didn't quite walk, but I did go for a nice drive, which I like. I've got that thing where since I passed my driver's test, I've got a little bit addicted to driving lately. I do love just going for a nice drive. I put the music on and go for a nice cruise. Yeah,
put the roof back. Well,
if I'm in a car accident, the roof might get pushed back.
Take out the old jaws of life. What a day it is. We've had a very relaxed week though, lads, because all of us we've been sitting back, glued to the tube to catch up on the latest interviews with the final boss, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, at this stage, he'll just stand up at a McDonald's and let you know he thought WrestleMania sucked at this stage. Pat, thanks for having me. Great here today. P.U. Huh, brother? How about that fucking shit booked? Oh, man. I wouldn't have done it that way. Let me fucking tell you. Anyway, I am Emmanuel Cosby up. Says Dwayne, listen, Montreal can't fucking give the ticket to it. Know what this cunt's right? His television shite. You wouldn't be able to drop your busy schedule with all the box office successes you're in, and you couldn't come in resuscitate our boom period here. Yeah. And I says, of course, Harry, of course I could, mate. I mean, So yes, after our WrestleMania review last week, and obviously the quite poorly received main event match/finish, the final boss has pretty much made it as clear as possible that he wouldn't have done it that way. I think was his exact terminology on the McAfee broadcast, which I'm loath to consume any of, but I mean it was too good to ignore really this week. I mean. There was a couple of things. So first of all, he goes on the McAfee broadcast anyway, and he says, "Look, he wouldn't have done it that way." He tells the story about not wanting to be involved in Mania, but he got the call that Elimination Chamber tickets were soft, so he needed to come in and blah blah blah. And it was just it came off real. I mean. As a man who is often discussed in the same sentences as Hogan in terms of all-time big stars, I think he's coming for Hogan's other legendary title in the wrestling business in terms of the master politique. Because there was also the low key my favorite bit was when he was like, "Well, I wasn't there because I was letting those boys, I was letting the other guys shine. The shit match that everyone hated. I was letting them go." And P.U.S.A. He just did a Jar Jar Binks impersonation on the McAfee show. I don't know what was up with that. Very funny, very funny. And then he also put like one of the all-time great Instagram comments that I'm sure I'll be referencing for another 20 years. There was some clip going around of the Busted Open show where the one guy who's not a wrestler who hosted it,
a very embarrassing clip,
was melting down. This is the most I've ever consumed of that show. I was like that 40. He was like turning bright red and screaming about how bad the match was, which I mean it was, but like I don't know why you care to that level. And I don't have it directly in front of me, but Rocky used a comment on the Instagram clip, and it's so classic, like dismissive arsehole. Rock goes like, "Hi Dave, our business is and always has been a work." It's like the most passive aggressive fucking thing. And that same comment, he said, "Hey, why don't you join me, Cody, Cena,
Brian,
Brian referring to the work, and." Let me throw up my chin here. I think that's everyone who does creative at the company. We're enjoying the rest of us here and how we put us together and grow this show. I mean, come on now. Come on. It's so fucking good. It's so funny. Yeah. He had a great week. I mean, we complain a lot about The Rock. He has ups and downs, but when he's on, he's on. And he was on this week, let me tell you. He was on something. What do you make about this? Do you think, because the funny thing is, like, I think he's literally just doing it for his own saving face needs. I don't think he wants to book. He has a better job than that. He's on the board. I just think he just cares a lot about being perceived as the problem by some fans. Like they were showing, he didn't show up. He was too busy. Oh, that was the other thing. He made sure to state that he was watching it from home. So he made sure people knew I wasn't busy. I was choosing not to be there.
He's a stinker. What a stinker.
Yeah, that was great. He's the only WWE guy who had like a good PR week, even though it was in spite of them and to protect themselves.
Yeah, it's been a funny old week from the point of view of being fans of wrestling who don't like WWE.
Yes,
because we've talked about this.
So I don't like WWE.
You. But it's we talked about on this show for the longest time how WWE were that company that people fucking hated but watched anyway, and then miraculously, old Skeletor gets the boot, and they start to turn it around, and the fans were eating up every storyline, any old slop they're being served. They were just adoring it. Yeah.
Can I just throw one little thing in there, Paul, a little addendum? They started to improve before Vince left. Summer of 2022. Correct. So I know we put a lot of it down to Vince leaving, and I think a lot of it is, but actually I think because of AEW, he had recognized that something needed to change. They started heating up before Vince left, and I think that's interesting because what we see, everyone thought, oh, well, now Triple H is in charge. Oh, everything's going to be great. And it's like, well, I think they were just in a really hot period. And it happened that was the point at which Vince left.
I think the Bloodline storyline was doing a lot of the heavy lifting for that.
It was.
And then Cody, Bloodline and Cody.
And that's the thing, the timeline kind of blurs, but it is kind of like Cody might be Vince's last like contribution to the company, and like you don't let the timelines blur. Cody was not brought in by Triple H. He was not. But
I just mean in terms of the fan perception of the company turning around.
Yes.
Whatever the order of it was. The creative improved. Vince was ousted, although, like you say, Barry, if he came back tomorrow, the fans would be given
they'd be
worthy, etc. And now, it seems like just this last week, since the WrestleMania main event, the fan goodwill is starting to fade a little bit. And some of the booking of this last week, I don't think is going to help with that. Although the Raw after Mania, a lot of people seem to enjoy.
Seemed happy enough with it, yeah.
But I would have concerns in the short term that actually there's going to be some more heavy weather coming their way, stormy weather.
Yes,
rather than good, which is the perfect opportunity for AEW to remember where we were 3 months ago with Dynamite, turn that ship around and start putting on good TV and good timing, because that's exactly
it's make sure they stay the course as well, because I mean, AEW's downturn, I do think it was a perfect storm. They were trying a lot of ideas that were not working at all. The positive momentum for WWE with Vince being ousted and just the general increase in quality of the show. I mean, so you got to take those opportunities. And I think they are doing it because they're putting out some really good stuff at the moment. But I think
this week's rating notwithstanding, because it wasn't
great, but you know they're doing okay. The other interesting thing about this current turbulent period for WWE is that with the obvious person to blame now gone, right? Vince was even the people who loved him and bowed to him, they were happy to bitch about him because he'd have his fingerprints all over all the awful stuff. It's they don't want to say, hey, Paul, this show fucking stinks, the way they would happily say that about Vince. Also, you know what else I've noticed is I feel like people don't want to come to terms with the fact that Cena is like physically washed. I don't think they want to reckon with that because they want to be all excited about the final tour.
Well,
and I think they're going to get a slap of a wake up call when they're going to revisit a feud that was bad 15 years ago.
Yeah. The only saving grace for that is that the pay-per-view is in St. Louis, which is Orton's hometown.
Okay, yeah.
But you're right. I mean, Orton is a guy who just came back from a year out due to his back being completely shot.
Yeah.
Cena is, as we saw at WrestleMania. I mean, what was the last Cena performance that you would attribute to being like at his prime level?
I mean, we're talking the bones of a decade. Was it like 2016 was when he was still kind of doing like the AJ matches? And fair enough, that's AJ, but he was good. You know, he was having good matches. I mean, all the last couple of years of like his Mania season comebacks, Undertaker, Austin Theory. I mean, just physically not there. Mentally, it didn't. I mean, especially for stuff like the Austin Theory stuff, the solos. Seems like he was like, I'm loyal to them. They call me, I'll come back, but I have no interest in doing any of this. It's been a while, to your point. Yeah, it's been a fucking while.
So I mean, I don't think that match is going to be getting reviews, and that's one of the things that has me thinking that this downturn might not be a kind of a one-off. The other thing that happened this week, I felt like they had 2 open goals that they just Diana Rossed into wide. First of all, on Raw, we had the Miro return.
Did we? I didn't even hear about that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't hear about
Rusev. Okay,
Rusev. Yeah.
So since you didn't hear about it, I'm just going to throw a hypothetical at you. You have the pencil. You know you have Miro to come in on Raw. What is your plan to maximize the impact of that?
Well, if we're assuming I'm just picking up the pencil here
in a realistic way, right? He's not coming in and laying out Cody.
He's not laying out Cody. Yeah, he's not laying out Cody. But I mean, I would take a look at that roster of mid-carders, and I'd certainly have him kill somebody, and I'd have maybe not Cody, but I'd have someone up there. I know, obviously, on maybe this is your second point you're going to bring up. I know they had Alistair out there with the Miz on Friday. I would go north of the Miz on the card if I wanted to make a splash with these boyos. Would be my point.
Well, let me tell you what happened with the Rusev return. So they had the New Day in the ring doing a promo, and Otis and Akira Tozawa came out and challenged them to a tag team title match there and then. And they said, all right, we'll have the match, and the ref came out, and immediately the lights went out, and Rusev returned, and he took out Otis and Tozawa.
Yeah.
And the crowd chanted, Rusev Day.
Yeah.
This fella is DOA.
Yeah.
I'm afraid
he is what I like to call cooked. And it's so funny that they took those 2 guys back and debuted them in the same way. I mean, they're both washed.
I don't perceive that they. I mean, I don't think maybe they'll probably get a nice payday and all this other stuff, but I don't foresee them getting more fortuitous booking than what they got elsewhere.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, if they were interested in using these guys, first of all, Rusev, I feel like that name has so much stink associated to it. I would nearly rebrand them and bring him in as Miro.
Yeah.
Which is his real name, right? So,
yeah.
And then, you could use some elements of the Redeemer character and so on and so forth, and have him lay out. If he wasn't a world champion, I would say like a Jey Uso type.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're off to the races. But to bring him in as Rusev, with the Rusev Day was the most geek level, he was kind of the equivalent of, he wasn't quite dancing, but a dancing happy babyface. The Rusev Day was that kind of ironic, I know I'm a geek, but whatever character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he came in and beat up geeks. They chanted the geek thing at him. He's got the geek name. I don't have high hopes. And then Aleister Black. So the Miz, who wasn't even on WrestleMania, came out and whinged about how he wasn't even on WrestleMania. And then Aleister Black came down, didn't say a word, just hit him with the spin kick. And that was it. Again, while Joe Tessitore, who, to his credit, has been getting very good reviews as this SmackDown commentator, gave him the "it's Christian" treatment.
Yeah.
Aleister Black truly is on SmackDown. That was basically it. Like, these 2 guys, like, I, as an AEW fan, I think Aleister in the ring is quite good, but he loves to do these storylines that are like, well, I had on my fingernail the letter P. This nonsense that WWE fans aren't gonna out for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and to your point as well on Rusev, I mean, it's like if he has this perception of he sees himself at a certain level, like, you're in the era now of where WWE fans, it's the catchphrases, it's the chanting, it's the funny entrances, it's the sing along. And you're coming straight in and they remember your little sing-along thing from last time. I mean, you're going to be wishing for the glory days of, like, undefeated TNT champion, because they're not going to, I don't know. I feel like kind of like CM Punk. I think ultimately part of the problem with them where they were was I think there was a respect for. I don't think they respected Tony, and I don't think they respected AEW. And to be fair, we've heard no shortage of stories that make you kind of go, well, fair enough. As much as I think CM Punk had the wrong mindset on that stuff, I still think that the worst thing that happened in that situation was Tony sat there like a geek when he was ranting and raving instead of putting him in his box. So even though they're not going to get, I don't see them getting higher than like US and IC level respectively, but I think they respect Triple H more and they're just happier to just be there. Do you know what I mean? So they'll beat the Miz. They'll beat guys.
It just, I guess the issue is more they had these layups, and they love the narrative of AW guy coming to WWE. Mm-hmm. Albeit they've both been in WWE before. It just felt like layups that you have one of them come in and lay out a beloved babyface, and you're off to the races with something new and fresh and exciting. But they both got the basest of base level. They beat up a geek, and that's it. Do you know? And they're doing the Miz Alistair match on SmackDown next week, so it's not as if it's a program they're building to the pay-per-view. Unless they do a DQ or some shit, which they love.
I'd say with 2025, I think they're probably better off to just do that now and beat the Miz and get him out of there. That's the thing. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like Triple H doesn't. If you're to be fair and talk about the things he has obviously improved post Vince. I mean, I think there's way more logic to the shows. Obviously, not that they're infallible, but generally speaking, it's a lot less. Dementia riddled. But one area I do think he just doesn't strike me as an ideas guy. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't strike me because it's a lot of really solid, like especially in the mid card, a lot of really solid feuds that are just kind of about bettering the other person and winning titles, and he loves internal dissension and factions and stuff like that. But where you really see the holes in the game are like making splashes with people in the way you're describing. But so that's their big newsworthy week. Also, I saw they already turned Becky Lynch heel, which was kind of funny.
Oh yeah, they lost the belts the night after WrestleMania, which they just won.
Yeah,
and she turned. That's fine. I mean, that was something that felt at least important. And it's funny. I mean, we talked about WWE fans' impression of the company being so important. I mean, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and I've seen a lot of tweets of whether it's fans or whether it's people that we would categorize as typically being shills or whatever you want to call them. Even those kind of turning on the company and saying this was shit. These TV shows are interminable and not fun to watch because there's so much downtime. Blah 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 blah. So.
Yeah, I mean everything's cyclical. Look, they were gonna lose interest eventually, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like people were in denial for a couple of days, but maybe now that we're a week out from Mania, maybe people are like, you know what? Maybe they're not going to do a Forbidden Door show with TNA and treat them with respect and do a big.
Oh, we need to talk about Joe Hendry.
Yeah. Just he was after every media appears in The Rock, he was jumping on the call afterwards, talking about how absolutely happy he was to get jabroned out.
It's brilliant. The threads on Reddit from the TNA, the TNA thread on Split. God, why this was not a burial? Why Joe? Yeah, it's brilliant. It's like he got to appear on the biggest show of the year.
Yeah,
got to wrestle one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. It wasn't a squash because it lasted 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The crowd were doing apparently he has a wave or something. I don't know. I don't even know who he is. But he has some kind of thing the crowd were doing. Yeah. It's like great.
Orton did his taunt. Orton turned and did his taunt. Like, oh, that's, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's,
I mean, it's, and people in TNA apparently, like, it seems like TNA don't give a fuck so long as they get out. I mentioned this during the week, but it's just kind of like, people like this are making WWE's job easier for them. Because that shows how the landscape has changed in 25 years. Because I know this is the example everyone brings up, but No people in that little fucking arena in Philadelphia 25 years ago were emailing Dave Meltzer and go, you know what, Dave? I thought Taz looked class in that match on SmackDown where Triple H beat him and Tommy Dreamer up at the same time and beat him. Like no, they were annoyed. They were angry because they knew no matter how small fry you are, and ECW was, dead basically by the time that whole Triple H thing happened. They still took pride in their guy not being perceived as a jabron. But now, I mean, again, Vince's a lot of Vince's shit did take, and his beating people over the head with his verbiage and his worldview and telling his fans that this is the way certain things are. It worked because it's just like, oh, he got the moment, he got to be on WrestleMania. It's like, no, you people need to be bigger nerds. Do you know what I mean? You're not big enough nerds. You need to care more about, if you're a fan of this promotion, you need to care more that your guy was jabroned out.
But this comes back to the real life situation of wrestlers who want to work for WWE because they've come up with it.
Yes.
And they prefer that even to a higher paycheck or whatever. And you have, especially when you watch Dark Side of the Ring, you see how the old generations were. And it was so much about protecting your spot and getting your pay and da-da-da-da. And yeah, you have Joe Hendry who, look, I'm not calling the guy a mark or whatever, but you come in and Randy Orton is turning you over like you are, again, like Akira Tozawa.
Yeah,
like it's nothing. And you're like, well, I got to be on the show. I got to have this moment with Orton. People are talking about it. Yeah, but I don't feel like he was protected to any level.
I prefer the era where like the Legion of Doom would come back and then kick out on 3 and then immediately stand up after taking someone's finisher because they didn't want to look like geeks.
Yeah.
And I know that was unprofessional, but good. At least you got some bollocks.
I mean,
wrestlers today.
I mean, Hendry's credit at the least. I mean, he'll land on his feet because they're gonna because just like every other promotion they buddy up with, they're gonna take him once his contract is up, and he'll get to come out in Raw, look at the camera, and do the face, and he'll be fine. But it's just more so TNA's attitude that I can't get over. It's so not giving a fuck. There was they brought this up on the Voices of Wrestling cast this week. It was such a I completely forgot about this until they brought it, but it was such a great point. And again, it's nerd shit. And you might think Gabe is stupid for... No, not Gabe, because he was gone at this stage. But, like, Michael Elgin once got in trouble for, like, doing a job on a PWG DVD while Ring of Honor champion. And, like, in the grand scheme of thing, who gives a fuck, right? They were DVDs. He was the Ring of Honor champion, like, in the Cornette era. He was not important. But they took a little bit of pride in it. They were like, you're a champion, you don't do a job on another show. That's all it is. It's like, and it doesn't matter if it's the smallest thing and it's distributed on DVD to like 2,000 people. We care. And then and it's just where that mindset, even though it might seem overly protective, it's just like, but it is a little bit of pride. I mean, it's just, it feels so funny that people were giving out that Kenny wasn't given TNA enough back in the day when he was having like pay-per-view main events with Rich Swann and stuff like that. And then Christian went and worked a load of their shows when he won it. It was.
But even this Orton match, and the way it was structured as a 3-minute squash, who was that to appease? Because the fans don't get a good match. Orton, I guess, he gets paid for doing basically no work. I guess he's fine with that. The pay-per-view overall has been poorly received now. I mean, that match didn't do a huge amount to, erase that. TNA and Joe Hendry look like geeks. Like what was the objective that match was supposed to achieve? Because to me, it feels like it was a net negative pretty much across the board.
Creating moments.
Creating moments. Yeah, he did the turn.
He did the turn. And I mean, he's jumping to the east side, but I'm like, yeah, that's what, because but it's just like they treat the other company's world champion the way they treat the Shoosh guy. Actually, tell me why, he won on WrestleMania, and Joe Hendry did not. So they treat him as below the Shoosh guy. Anyway,
but I'm just like, why couldn't they have had a 9-minute back and forth?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, unless it was some sort of power play, like big league in TNA, to go, well, remember now, in case some negotiations or something that WWE wanted future, remember that we're here and you're down here.
Yeah. So, That was the post Mania discourse. Let's segue over to our fantasy update for the week.
Oh, Barry, back down to second place where you belong.
What?
Get down there. You got
I don't
points.
count.
No points this week for Barry.
No, what?
It was beaten.
What is this? You want to begin?
Osprey lost. Ricochet lost. Statlander lost. Brody King lost. And no wrestlers on Collision. Meanwhile, I had a lovely 12 points, although Speedball, who I brought in, lost. And I still have Cope, Hook, Jay White, and Pac on the injured reserve. Joe had Mark Briscoe slowly turning it around, but starting to put together some points up there on 20 now. So nothing too crazy to report. Obviously, we didn't have any title matches or anything. So no bonuses for anybody. But Mark Briscoe, like I said, started to turn it around. Orange Cassidy, I still haven't seen any news on where he is. When he's expected back.
Yeah.
Cope and Hook, they're at least mentioning on TV, so they're still in the atmosphere somewhere. And Jay White and Pac were kind of waiting to hear. Again, one thing I'm keeping an eye on is All In, because we know that All In is like triple points. And again, I think I've said this before, but like I feel like the current state of wrestlers who are on TV, those are your guys that they're pushing towards All In. So I am a little bit anxious that I have so many people out. But otherwise, we're going okay. Joe is about to hit 100 matches as well. Joe's on 98 matches. So very close to getting there. And I'm on 350 points. So I've hit that milestone as well. Tony Storm as well, back to number 1. Will Ospreay overtook her briefly, but with Ospreay losing this week and Tony Storm getting a win on Collision, she's jumped back to the top of the list. Samoa Joe has also eked his way into the top 10 with the Ops success. But nothing too crazy. Unless anybody has a transfer or anything. No.
I'm giving MJF a little bit longer, but it's getting a bit ridiculous.
He would want to have a match.
Just a match. Not even if he loses, I'll take a 0. He hasn't even got a 0.
He's on the cushiest deal of all time because he's presumably getting money up the wazoo.
Yeah, it does fuck.
Never wrestles. He's had 2 matches this year. In April. So he realistically he is going to wrestle 8 matches this year. Just throw a number out there. 7 or 8 matches maybe.
I would say at best you're talking maybe a tag title win at some point. Like this presumably has to be leading to a big segment where he does absolutely everything imaginable. Bob is just about to give him the thumbs up, and he gives him the thumbs down, and then MJF debuts. Either people already in the company or new people he's going to team with, and
they give him the thumbs up, and MJF puts his thumbs up, and then MJF gives the thumbs down, and they do like an attack act, something like that.
Yeah,
but then even with that, even with the group coming in, MJF can still serve as like the mouthpiece and not wrestle, which is like obviously from a fantasy point of view. Okay, so let's let the viewers, you view with your ears, listeners. Let's let those people what consume our
watch the YouTube video.
That's not really a video.
It's not to watch, but I might just watch it.
Not really a video. None of us did a quiz. That's the reality. That's the reality of the situation.
Let's lay it. Oh, this is a shoot, brother.
This is a shoot, right? None of us did a quiz. So 2 minutes before I said, okay, let's bring back an old staple of the genre, which requires no prep, which is let's have a game of wrestler 20 questions. I haven't even decided which one of us is going to be the question master here.
I'll do it.
Okay, Barry's going to volunteer. Barry will think of a wrestler
in the fucking.
And me and Joe have to do a little 20 questions gimmick to try to figure out who it is.
Okay, I'm putting up this individual's Wikipedia just so I'm super clear on various things. I am ready to go whenever you are. Let me open a text document also.
Okay, so I guess we can kind of alternate questions and or talk it over, Joe. Anyway, do we want to start with the classic? Are they alive?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Are they an active wrestler?
Yes.
Okay. Alive, yes. Active, yes. Do they wrestle for WWE, AEW, or TNA?
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to try and...
Male or female?
Male or female? Very good one, yeah.
Are they male or female? Are they a man?
No.
Okay, so they are female, non-binary, or
biologically female.
Okay, so the question was male, no, right? Or man, no.
Yeah. So it could be a boy.
Yes. It could be a frog.
Yeah.
Because a man is typically a human male.
Wow,
it could be some sort of alien. Okay, so I'm going to assume the odds in our favor is that it is a woe man. So a female who's currently associated to the Fed, Jacksonville, or TNA. Okay, I'm going to throw out, do they work for WWE?
Yes.
Okay.
So WWE, to the best of my knowledge, being the conservative company that they are, don't have... It's going to be a lady. A lady.
Okay, who are the ladies? You got Tiffany Stratton, I believe.
Tiffany, Charlotte.
I've heard of her.
Yeah.
I've heard of her.
Bianca, Rhea, Io.
Bianca.
I'll tell you what's a good way to split it up is they've got a good bunch of Japanese ladies. They've got a good bunch of American ladies. They've got a good bunch of South American. Mm-hmm. And then we can maybe do like hair color.
Do you want to go with this person?
Are they American?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, they have a load of Irish as well, so that also eliminates. Okay, an American lady. So I'm thinking maybe we go hair color next because they have a lot of blondes. They have a lot of brunettes.
Okay. Have they got? Has this person typically got black hair or dark hair?
No.
Okay,
not dark haired.
So it's not dark haired.
Maybe a blonde.
So we got your Tiffany, we got your Charlotte, we got your
Liv
Morgano.
I'm assuming that the one thing we might need to clarify is that they're not an NXT; they're on the main roster.
Do they still have the brand split? Can we still do?
Someone asked me if someone is on Raw or SmackDown. I'll give you NXT or main roster. Do not ask me.
Is this someone who is on the main roster?
Yes.
Okay, good.
You could ask if they held. Well, actually, this is going to help me. But if they held a world championship, the women.
I think I would have
a women's world championship.
I would have that. Yeah,
just a world championship
in WWE.
Yes. Okay. So that I don't think it's Tiffany Stratton.
She's the current world champion.
Okay, well,
Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan,
Charlotte,
Bailey ? Because her hair is purple at the moment. I'll tell you, I'm going to throw out a funny one here. Have we named this person already?
Yes.
Oh, it's gone meta. We've never done that before.
It's a good question. Actually, we should disallow that for future reference because then you can just start
name everyone.
No, but we still have a short list that we have to whittle down.
Well, then I think Liv, Charlotte, or Stratton has got to be the.
Yeah. So is it a blonde-haired lady?
Yes.
Okay. Blonde-haired. So let's see. We got Tiffany is the current world champion on SmackDown. Charlotte ain't. And Liv Morgan is a current tag team champion. So we maybe ask if they're a current champion.
Okay, yeah. Are they a current champion, Barry?
No.
Ooh. Okay.
So Charlotte is the big one. Let me just take who have we named already who may not be. I mean, we did say Bailey.
You could say, are they in... No, it doesn't help. Are they in the Four Horsewomen? But that both are. But that would narrow it down.
Are they from a wrestling family?
Yes.
Is it Charlotte Flair?
It is Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Well done.
Very good. Woo.
Well, questions. Good,
One,
good,
two, three, four,
very good
five,
showing there. Because I remember the last couple of times we did that feature, we were right up against it. If I
14 questions we got.
Well done, boys. Very efficient question asking there from the boyos. Well done. All right. Let's jump over to Dynamite, which was great once again this week. I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed it from Newlands.
They've been cutting out a lot of the chaff on Dynamite in terms of not a lot of squash matches. The matches have people in them who are cool and who have good matches. So more of that, please.
And they've had their share of in-ring segments and non-wrestling segments, but I feel like they have been, for the most part, they've gotten to the point, and they have been not been a lot of faffing. You know what I mean? No. A lot of rubbish. Not a lot of like Camille trying to run people over with cars, and Mercedes going, Camille, you didn't hit her fast enough. She's alive. None of that.
But even the matches, I feel like they found a good compromise of being able to get guys into matches without doing DQ finishes and count out finishes like they do in WWE. Mm-hmm. They've been able to get guys into matches, but while still having, like, Ricochet lose to Mark Briscoe. Okay, Ricochet is not killed by that, but you can still do it like a good finish.
Yes. So Joe kicked off with Turner Network wrestling legend Master P.
Rampus Crab.
Who was very fun, right?
What's this thing?
He came out, and obviously he's a local guy, so everyone kind of cheered him, and he talked about him and Joe, Samoa Joe came out, the Ops came out, they talked about some local trust he runs, which is very nice. And for the most part, he was kind of just he's a professional. He came out and he said, make him say and he introduced the Ops. They came out, but what I loved about this is, so they come out, and then the Ops come out and they start talking shit, right? And then the Death Riders jump them all from behind, and Master P is doing that typical kind of celebrity, I don't quite know where to go, all these bodies are flying around all over me. The Bucks come out and they get involved. Okada comes out and gets involved. In the melee of all of this, Joe gets Mox in like a coquina clutch, and Master P says, I know what I'll do here. I'll work the body on this man while he's being choked out, and he throws some very respectful light working punches on Mox. Yeah. He did have a big MJF style ring on his pinky, so he's probably concerned he was either going to break that or break a rib, but that was quite funny.
Yeah, Cena needs to start watching his Master P tapes.
Absolutely. So this has kind of become one of their recent things they're doing, where it's kind of, you have your big segment with your the Death Riders, and it turns into a big schmoz where the baby faces come out and either chase them off, or there's a big pull apart or whatever. So there you go.
Yeah, building towards their blood and guts match, I would imagine is what this is.
I'm interested to see what the makeup of that match is going to be. Joe thanked Swerve as well, which was interesting.
I don't know when I'm gonna get back my world title.
Yes,
gave Swerve the eyes.
Yeah, a lot of world champions around at the moment, which is nice.
I don't know whereabouts on the show they announced it, but the Joe Moxley match is the middle of May. It's in about 2 weeks.
It's in the break. What's the name of the show? Beach break.
Yeah, which I'm glad, because I thought if it had been Double or Nothing, that would have been a bit of a week.
Which they did say on this show would be a 4-hour block, and then it like the next day it came out that it's not going to be.
The TV show or the pay-per-view?
Beach Break, the TV show. They said, Excalibur said on Dynamite that Beach Break was going to be a live 4-hour block with Dynamite Collision on the Wednesday. And then it was reported the day after that actually they're not doing that Collision, just be on the Saturday as normal.
Oh, weird. Okay. Because I think, I don't know if it's related to that, but they're also doing another sports piggybacking thing soon. So maybe did they change their plans because of that? Because that's been quite successful for them. But anyway, so yeah, that's happening. Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be a fun match. I think Joe has credibility, but for a pay-per-view, maybe not. Maybe. So
the thing is, All In is going to be presumably Mox Ospreay. So what do you do with Mox for that last pay-per-view? Unless you just don't do a title match. But Double or Nothing should be a significant
right? Typically it's been the all Anarchy in the Arena. I think that's
when you went to the live, that was Double or Nothing, right?
Yeah, what's the previous one?
Yes, they've because they're falling a little bit into that kind of WWE. We have these big special matches on these designated dates, which I don't really like. Now they don't advertise it ahead of time, which I appreciate, so they keep that illusion a little bit alive. But they coincidentally always have it here at Double or Nothing. But anyway,
the Stadium Stampede was 2 years in a row at Double or Nothing. Yeah. So I think maybe they'll go with that. Maybe we'll get Death Riders versus Team AEW again. I feel like we already did that 3 months ago, didn't we?
Don't call them Team AEW.
Call them
the Ops.
Call them the Union.
Yeah, no, Joe.
Bunch of guys you ought to respect, son.
Take a leaf. Since AEW is all about bringing back the good shit from the past. Take a leaf from like the old Survivor Series, like 1988, 89.
Give him a name.
Give him a name. It's Swerve's Squadron.
Omega's Beaters.
Yeah.
Omega's Jim Shorts champion.
Yeah, Jim Shorts Collective.
Swerve Squadron.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Swerve Squadron is pretty
cool. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Instead of like Team AEW is so lame and restores the feeling of the Team AEW versus Death Rider slump last year. So don't call them Team AEW. Come on, put an effort into it.
It was the 1 year anniversary of the Young Bucks doing the Meltzer Driver on Tony Khan.
Oh yeah.
This past week. And of course, of the CM Punk footage being released.
Yes.
I'm sure we remember where we were when we saw that.
Did they put their hands on Shad or no? They didn't, did they?
No,
he just looked sad.
He looked shocked. His great TV presence. Oh, bring it back.
I saw him at All In. It was cool.
Got a segment backstage where Christian teased doing the Luchasaurus belt gimmick with Nick Wayne, but then kind of begrudgingly kind of gave it back to him, like, you're
slapped him on the face.
Slapped him on, you just kind of, and it's just popped in there in the middle. I banged your mom, by the way, in the middle of that segment, which was funny.
I mean, I guess they're not going to cope Christian short term.
I don't know, because the funny thing I was thinking about during the week as well is like, when is the turn going to happen? And I was like, well, the funny thing about it is it has to be Nick turning on him, doesn't it? Like they have to kick him out of the patriarchy, don't they? Because because obviously Cope will be a face when he comes back, and presumably Christian will. So that'll be an interesting dynamic.
Unless they're doing Christian against Nick at Double or Nothing, and then you quickly pivot to Cope Christian.
You have to imagine the Cope thing is for Texas, certainly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Up next, we got Ricochet versus Mark Briscoe, the aforementioned match. I mean, look, we've done the Mark Briscoe speech now a bajillion times. I mean, he's like my favorite guy in the company now.
Two great guys here.
And Ricochet is fantastic. Listen, I think we've been very fair about Ricochet as people who did not enjoy his stuff at all.
Mm-hmm.
Once he figured out the character, I mean, the matches followed. I mean, it's just been his confidence is through the roof.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's really top notch. They had a great back and forth match. Again, I feel like we talked about how Dynamite was better than like WrestleMania last week. I mean, this match would have been better than most stuff on either card as well.
He came out with he's got this big giant coat. He comes out with now, like comically big. Very, very cool.
Briscoe.
We didn't mention as well. Sorry, the star ratings that Bianca, Rhea, and EO did get 5 stars. So they were beaten by a month to the first, because Tony Mariah at Revolution was the first ever American women's match to score 5 stars.
Wow, yeah. I suppose they'd be the first in the company, I suppose.
First WWE,
yeah. But yeah, two in a quick succession. I was going to get around to watching that because I did hear it was great. I like all three.
It was the best. It was the best match of either night.
Yeah. So Briscoe rolled up Ricochet for the win, which is great. Ricochet jumped him after the match, went for his scissors, but out came Kevin Knight to make the save. So there you go.
They're giving Kevin Knight a lot of TV time. They really are being very generous with him.
Yeah.
Maybe listening to the pod, and saying, and when we talked about when they bring in someone new, they only go hard with them if they're a known quantity, a top star from another promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Tony's like, I'll show those fucking ChairShot cunts. They think they fucking know my booking patterns. I'm going to push this guy right out of the blocks.
I mean, to be fair, in ring, he's been performing way better than I anticipated. I would still like to see some more kind of defined character from him.
They haven't really let him speak yet, have they? I mean, I think they should.
No,
they should work that. I mean, if he's gonna, because Ricochet has figured out the character stuff, so he's going to be a fun person to bounce off of. So give him a
Kevin
chance.
Knight feels a little bit like Ricochet pre-figuring it out.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be a good for this. Like, I assume it'll be a pay-per-view match they have, or maybe that big at the beach. Because I forgot to mention that the beach break Dynamite, that is in. Well, I can't remember what the building is called, but it's in one of those Chicago buildings they've had a pay-per-view. So that's a bigger building than they've gone to for a television show in a while. That's not one of their new current 3-4. That's a 10 boy. So they're probably going to load that up. So we'll see. Tony Schiavone came out for an in-ring with FTR. This caught me off guard. Stokely Hathaway back as the PR manager.
Interesting. I don't hate it.
Yeah. What was he doing? Like he was doing the Statlander thing. That seemed really good, and they inexplicably blew that up, which was very odd because a lot of his earlier stuff. Sorry, hang on. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm sneezing. Because a lot of his earlier stuff in the company wasn't really clicking, and then that seemed to be working, and then they just kind of ran the opposite direction. But anyway. He came out to defend FTR, said it was ridiculous they were suspended when there's people burning down houses and stabbing people with scissors, which is completely fair, to be honest. So he said he was going to have the fine reimbursed and the suspension expunged, and he's their new agent. I think that's an interesting pairing. I've enjoyed Stoke. We'll see what they do here.
Yeah, I mean, I like when they try something new, like something unexpected. Yeah, I mean, if it was all predictable, it would be a little bit boring. So
I think it's good because he's not a natural fit, and that's what makes it good.
Yeah,
so they've sold out to go to Stokely.
Plus, Stokely, I think, can get some real people do booing him and shitting on him and chanting at him and all this other stuff. Because this FDR thing is great, right? It is great, but I do fear we are pretty much instantly from the second they did the jumping on the stretcher gimmick at the pay-per-view, which is very funny. I think they're really quickly veering into you just being too entertaining as heels.
Right.
You're just being too entertaining.
Yeah, you get more fun as a heel.
And they're like the new textbook because they cut to the Rock and Roll Express in the crowd. So you know what's happening straight away. God bless those. That's anytime they go to a Dynamite, they get fucking the shit kicked out of them. So Dax calls them in the ring, right? And before they get to the beatdown, they do this great self-aware FTR bald bit where he goes, you're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. You had some of the great matches. What would you say your greatest match ever was? Well, if it was up to me, I would say it was in Philadelphia with the Midnight Express. If I'm being honest, I mean, and he's just doing this whole everyone knows I'm like a nerd, an annoying wrestling history nerd. And so he does that whole bit. It's really, really good. Morton cuts him off and says, "Right, you're not going to make fools out of us. Put your dukes up, sonny." And they hit Ricky with the spike pile driver. God bless him. He wasn't just going to get clotheslined. He wanted to take that shit.
They hit him with a better looking pile driver than Kevin Owens gave Randy Orton that time. And this chap is 109 per my source, which is Dax. So
of other legendary tag teams they could attack, but they're either in WWE or dead.
Or dead,
I can't think of any.
I mean, I think that's why the Rock and Roll Express gets so many bookings, especially on Mania weekends. If you want old lad tag teams, they are the ones.
Yeah.
I don't think Sean and Marty are picking up the phone. Well, Marty might, but I don't think the other one is. FTR were ran off by the Paragon, which I guess it's a better name than Undisputed Kingdom, but not by much. Not by much.
I guess it's just to underline the fact that Taven and Bennett are no longer associated with them. So
yeah, but it still sounds like an alien race in Destiny 2. It sounds like some Adam Cole nerd shit, to be honest.
Yeah, it's their Destiny 2 stable name.
Yeah. Guys, make sure you update your display name so everyone knows we're a team. Thank you. Up next, we got the Young Bucks versus Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. I mean, this was the PWG classic here. This is throwing two lads together to face the Young Bucks, and they have a better match with the Young Bucks than some tag teams have in their entire career. I mean, this was just ludicrously great. I loved this match.
this is what we need to get more from the Young Bucks. I mean, people get annoyed with their character stuff and how they're presented, but let them loose in the ring, have a PWG style banger every couple of weeks, and people will be happy, you know? I mean, Kevin Knight and Speedball aren't exactly two slouches to be throwing them in with either.
Of course, yeah.
Those guys are like, Speedball in particular is just such an entertaining wrestler to watch. Yeah, this was terrific fun. Very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, and really let Kevin Knight in particular show out, like just get all his high flying stuff in. I mean, this is just top notch. And yeah, I mean, I really wish we weren't still doing these Young Bucks characters, but I'm not going to knock them too much if this is the level they're going to just casually throw out on a random Dynamite with two singles guys from the mid card, you know.
Yeah. I love Kevin Knight's Frog Splash, I gotta say.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Oh, it's just one of those finishers that just scratches that itch where you go, oh, I love how that looks every time. Love it.
There you go. Renee was backstage with Toni Storm. She said there'd be an eliminator match on Saturday.
She stood on a chair.
Yes. Yeah. Queen Aminata came up. Queen Aminata, like, not many wrestlers have style, but Bobby Lashley has style. Queen Aminata has style, let me tell you. She comes up in this, like, denim two-piece thing with, like, tassels all over it. She looked amazing. And she was like, I'll fight you. And Tony goes, oh, yes, that would be great.
I mean, you have, wrestling women are, obviously very beauteous, but like Queen Aminata could legitimately be like a fashion model.
That's the other thing. I was like, yeah, she's got great style, but also she's like, could literally just leave wrestling tomorrow and just be a supermodel if she wanted, because she's an incredibly attractive woman. But yeah, so that was on for Saturday, which actually I did not get around to Collision yet. When they announced that, I was like, I did want to watch it, but
Collision being late on the Saturday night was a killer for me, and then with the football and FA Cup semi-final, there was no time for Collision for me this week, I'm afraid.
Let me see here. Then we had our weekly MJF wooing the Hurt Syndicate segment, which I enjoyed last week. So I enjoyed this again. They came out, they kind of re-clarified the situation, what they're doing, Shelton clarified that he didn't care about the women in the watch. He said, because MVP endorsed MJF, he said he's on board, so there you go.
Gave him the thumbs up. First time.
So then, in a great Charlie Brown running up to kick the football bit, there was like a 15-minute long version of that bit on this show. MJF pulls up in this just absolutely outrageous car that you have to like grind like 1,000 hours in Gran Turismo to unlock. Okay, it was this preposterously cool looking car. So Bobby's humming and hawing about whether or not to thumbs up MJF, and MJF goes, hang on, come on. You see that car I just rode in on, that insanely nice looking car? Bob, if you give me a thumbs up, you can have this car. And Bobby Lashley's unmoving face is just, okay. And so they don't just go to the back and then do a segment later on in the night. No, they get out of the ring, they walk all the way to the fucking back in the same segment. They walk up, and Bobby Lashley's like, interesting looking car. It's a nice looking car you got there. And MJF's like, well, I mean, you can have it if I get the old thumbs up. And Bobby's like, let me just take a look at them keys just for a quick second there. And he's like, yeah, sure, bud, you want to sit in? Absolutely. It's just, you can just see it coming a fucking mile away, which made it funnier and funnier the longer it went. And Lashley's like putting on his seatbelt, and MJF's like, what you doing then? Lashley's like not looking back at him. He's just like putting the keys in the ignition, and he drives off in the car. And that's the last we saw of Bobby for the night. He stuck his thumb down out the window as he was leaving as well, which is
cars in wrestling. It always works. It always works.
So this story shall continue for another week.
Yes. I mean, they've done a very good job of rehabbing MJF through this storyline, I gotta say.
Yes.
I mean, I'm excited to see what the next turn will be, what the next story beat will be. As I say, I think probably most likely this is going to result in some sort of new MJF faction to kind of pair off with the Hurt Syndicate. I could see a lovely MVP beatdown and blade job. Just
oh yeah,
baby. yeah, a lot of scope for good shit with this. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued as to where it's going to go, because like traditional wrestling logic, would tell you that it's building to eventually he gets the 3 thumbs up and he's in, but like you just kind of know they're not going to do that. It's not a good fit for the stable. I think MJF shouldn't be in a stable he's not the leader of. First of all,
the fact that they're turning him down so many times to me is building to a turn,
to a thing. Yeah, so I'm really curious how it plays out. So MJF, all pissed off, interrupted a Hangman interview, and so I guess they're planting seeds for an MJF Hangman thing.
Revisiting that at some point.
So the Don Callis family, which was Josh Alexander and Konosuke Takeshita, faced Will Ospreay and Brody King. This was another really good match. Yeah. Alexander got the win here over King, which I thought was good, because he did debut on a lot.
Unbelievable, like, straight jacket pile driver on a guy the size of King.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Yeah, really top notch. Then after the match, Fletcher came out and set up that match with Hanger next week. That is a semi-final? Yeah, winner of that faces Ospreay at the pay-per-view. So that's
Don Callis family looking pretty good at the moment. I'd like to see Roppongi Vice get a bit of a push. The tag team division could obviously use it, but I like what they're doing with that faction at the moment. I mean, it felt for a while that Don Callis was kind of overshadowing it, but I feel like lately the wrestlers in the faction have kind of stood up enough to kind of combat that.
Yeah, no, it's good. They've put together a good crew. I'm curious where the Owen is going to go. I mean, it feels very soon to go back to Fletcher Ospreay.
No, I would think it would be Hangman, but
yeah,
maybe not.
Especially because Hangman can lose. It doesn't matter. He's you just gave Fletcher the big definitive feud loser to Ospreay. I don't think beating him again in the final would be very good.
I don't think so.
Main event time. Speaking of the Owen, we got Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter, which was, I think, my favorite Hayter performance. Probably since she's been back. I mean, this was really. I've really enjoyed this.
She hasn't had too many since she come back. She hasn't been given a lot of opportunity.
Yeah,
this was very good.
And Stat is game. They walloped each other. Hayter got to be, because I think she's better as a heel anyway. She got to be a little bit heelish in this, when she was yapping a lot. Apparently, it was Statlander's birthday, and she was singing happy birthday to her and clobbering her and doing all this other stuff. Great, just a really great Jamie Hayter showcase.
I wouldn't mind a little Jamie Hayter TBS.
Yeah,
title run.
I mean, it's. I think the Owens have been really fun so far. I think the only option has been pretty obvious with the destination. But nonetheless,
Well, because I'm thinking if we are right about Storm, Tony versus Mercedes at All In, Mercedes wins the world title maybe, and then has to vacate the TBS title.
Could be.
Maybe she does the Rob Van Dam. Just never loses it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see Jamie, but I also would love to see Megan.
Of course.
Give Bane the reign, or see Hayter later. I don't know. That could be a great final. That could be a great final if we did that.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like, if Monet wins and that would make, I guess they wouldn't necessarily be doing like the title match necessarily. It is just for a shot at Tony. Is technically what the Owen winner gets. So I could see. I mean, is this? It wouldn't shock me if that was Monet's first big loss in the company. Was because Tony is like this project they have just put so much work into, and I think if you were finally going to give Monet a loss, that match I think is not a very predictable result. I think, which is really good. But yeah, so for the Pape, we are looking at Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Monet. Oh, baby. Absolutely. Sign me up. That sounds great.
I'll take all of that you got.
That should be top notch. So we've got that, and and the men's final, which we don't know yet. Probably Hangman versus Ospreay. It's a pretty good pay-per-view right then and there before you add anything else. Yeah, and maybe they won't do a men's title match because maybe Mox will be in Anarchy in the Arena type thing. Or
Anarchy in the Arena. And those two,
Yeah, I think we're cooking with gas there. So yeah, nobody got to Collision.
No.
No.
That's fine. It was all right. We don't need to talk about it. I'm a little bit behind on Dark Side of the Ring. I'm like only halfway through the Tony Atlas one. How was it this week?
Yeah, Tony Atlas one was okay, as we talked about last week. Superstar Graham this week. Again, kind of one that fell into that kind of template of episode they do every so often, where it's like, this guy had it all, but then the drugs and drink took it away, and he never really recovered, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the one interesting element of Superstar Graham, of course, is that he was Hulk Hogan
Before
10 years too early.
Yeah.
And then Hogan basically aped every single one of his personality traits and became the big star in wrestling. And obviously there was a lot of resentment of that. Superstar Graham was definitely one that I guess doesn't quite get his due in regards to kind of that he was so far ahead of his time. Physique at a time where guys' physiques were a little bit more attainable, let's say, for better or worse. You could obviously read a lot of cons into the fact that Superstar Graham was such a bodybuilder in the wrestling world, and what that led to in later in the 80s and 90s. But like I said, it felt like from a Dark Side of the Ring point of view, it was a little bit boilerplate. In that it touched on the drink and the drugs. I would have liked it if they focused more on, the impact on the business that he had, as opposed to just his own fall from grace.
Yeah,
which of course they talked about his relationship he had with his kids and so on. It was okay. I do feel like as a series, it's starting to run on fumes a little bit because they've covered all the main stuff. But Superstar Graham does feel like an important character in the wrestling history. So I guess to that extent, it felt like a little bit less of Dark Side of the Ring and more history of the ring. It was fine. It was fine. Nothing too noteworthy from it, I would say.
Okay.
Like, we know that Superstar Graham wore the boa and said brother a lot. You know what I mean? There's nothing too surprising from it.
Segueing over to the big screen. Joe went to the cinema this week. In
the very big screen.
Max, he saw it in the big old screen. He saw Sinners. I saw Sinners on a less big screen. Joe, what did you make of Ryan Coogler's Sinners?
On the 70 millimeter.
Very fancy.
Apparently, according to the little guy that did the intro, only 11 copies of the 70 mil film is out there. Only one in Europe. So we were very privileged. This guy couldn't cut a promo to save his life. He was stumbling over the intro. It was no good. He was useless. But anyway,
no Master P.
The IMAX is special because it's not the usual experience of no ads. You get an introduction. Everyone's got to be in their seats at the right time. Even just that, you're enjoying it more. Saw a trailer for Brad Pitt as a 60-year-old Formula One driver, which can't wait to see that.
F1.
Looks hilarious. Then we're going to Sinners, and overall, I would say fantastic. Loved it. Loved the cinematography. Loved the characters. Very funny film as well. Lots of good laughs in it. Loved the vampire element, the way it was kind of done and introduced, because it sticks to the classic sort of vampire mythology and tropes,
rules.
But in a way that doesn't feel sort of, oh, here we go again, is another vampire film, because it's not a vampire film in that sense. I thought that was very nicely done. The music is at the heart of the film. I thought the music's really interesting.
So great.
From the blues music to the kind of Irish folk music to the So the actual soundtrack itself, like the non-diegetic music, the actual soundtrack was fantastic. Great actors, obviously, across the board, from Michael B. Jordan to Jack O'Connell to all the supporting cast. Really, really good. I would say my only note, if I was the studio head, I didn't love the last 10 minutes or so, the ending, the kind of postscript bits. I just thought it had such a nice, just a perfect resolution. I thought, okay, I'm not sure we need this bit. I get where it's going, but I think we could have cut it off a bit earlier. Maybe had some kind of a stream sequence or some sort of flash forward sequence to convey that, rather than having to play out all of those scenes. So that was my only flaw with it. But yeah, very great otherwise.
Yeah, I would echo everything you and Paul said last week as well. I really loved it. I mean, just a real genre meld as well, because it's got quite a lot of From Dusk Till Dawn in it there, where it has that kind of switch right halfway through. But like the first half is also just completely unlike that. Like it's very much doing its own thing. It's so ambitious because it's going for so much, and also ambitious in terms of how it's like we've talked a lot on the pod about like TV and movies obsessions with all the oneers and the fake oneers, and how none of them are any impressive anymore because they're really obviously fake, or you're not doing anything interesting during them. People are doing them because they're just the thing you do now. And then there's the big set piece in the middle of this film. Oh my god, it's just so outrageously spectacular. The big musical number where not only is it very impressive in terms of its choreography and the way it's filmed, but conceptually they're doing so much kind of out there stuff. People, if you're making a period piece in the 1930s, you wouldn't do certain things they do in that scene that Coogler had the confidence to do. It's so great. It's so great. And I was very glad I did go and see it in the cinema. No premium film format, I think it would, sadly, but it was in one of the smaller screens in my cinema. I think all the bigger screens were cordoned off for playpen. So watching them, like 26-year-olds throwing popcorn around and all that other stuff. But I don't think this has been rolled out in every theater, but in the screen I was in one of the trendy new. Every seat is a recliner and there's couches at the front, which I know people are a little bit kind of iffy on. I don't know how I felt about that when I started seeing pictures of that cropping up. But one thing I will say was that I had a basically flawless viewing experience in terms of behavior. And I'm thinking so the tickets cost a little bit more than they would have if I was in a different screen. So I'm thinking, is it kind of, you're going to put your slop in the biggest screen, and then you're going to put your like better films that people actually want to watch in the screen with the smaller building, smaller room, the fancier seats, higher ticket prices, and so people can go and FaceTime each other during the account too. And if you want to watch Sinners, you can actually watch it. So I was thumbs up on the bougie seats in the cinema.
Yeah. I will just say to just before we finish up on Sinners, in regards to the ending, I'm going to have some spoilers here, so folks want to skip ahead a couple of minutes. You have the actual ending, which I was kind of not hot on, to be honest, because they do the it's pitch fucking black nighttime, and then in 2 seconds it's morning. And
I've held out 20 minutes. They would have just
when they're outside and it was pitch dark, I thought they're going to just go, it's morning suddenly. Like there's no, look how it's starting to get a little bit lighter, but the sun hasn't quite come up. It literally goes from pitch black to that. And then you have like the Michael B. Jordan character appears from behind out of nowhere. Those were elements they've kind of fucked the ending a little bit here. But then I thought, if you're going to do that ending, but then you give me, and then Michael Jordan just kills a load of KKK members, I'm like, all right, forgiven. And actually, I really loved the final scene where it kind of shoots to the future. So for me, it felt like the actual first ending was a little weak, almost to the point that I would have marked it down. And then every time it just kept going, it kind of pulled me around again. And anyway, I thought that the film prior to the ending was so excellent that I could just forgive it anyway. I love the music. I love the performance. I actually preferred the first hour even to the the vampire stuff, where they were just putting together the Duke joint and all of that. It was so enjoyable being with those characters and watching.
Some feedback saying that was a bit slow at the beginning. I loved the first hour.
I loved it. All
of the setup, just to kind of hang out with those characters, and it's like the character says at the end, that was up until that night, it was the best day of my life. I was like, it was so much fun, wasn't it? Just hanging out. That feels
like that was more what the movie was about. The freedom of doing that. Yeah,
it's great.
I could just imagine, like, in a perfect world where you didn't see any marketing, or because obviously the word of mouth on this has been so positive. But like, could you imagine like not really knowing what type of film it is, and then you watch it, you don't know what to expect in that second half. Like it's great. It's super great.
The introduction of the Jack O'Connell character as well. I think one of the most iconic. Seeing him running across this empty terrain, like on fire, basically towards his house. Like, oh wow, being pursued by the
and coming down from the top of the frame as well. It's just like so memorable. It's just such an interesting way to do things.
So good.
So good. On the other end of the spectrum, I watched the long-delayed Havoc this week. The Gareth Evans, Tom Hardy joint on Netflix that I believe was taped. Jesus Christ! They got the old DV camera out and taped it. I think it was principal photography was like early-ish in COVID, and then they started reshoots during just before the actors' strike or the writers' strike. So much delayed film. This is obviously Gareth Evans of The Raid fame. Now, Paul, you famously are the Raid 2 detractor.
Yes,
if long-time listeners will recall, because you were kind of like, he took all that stuff that was good about the original one, then he decided, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to like write some like criminal underworld intrigue and pad it out to like twice as long. And you did not like that.
I didn't. Yeah, and we'll have a girl who kills people with like a baseball.
Yeah, ooh, baby, do I have a film not for you? Let me tell you, it's very much like Sinners. Havoc is a movie of two halves. It feels like for the first half of it, it feels like Evans like, all right, guys, I don't make the raids anymore. I'm doing something different. All right, I'm doing something different. And the first hour-ish of this film is shades of grey, dirty cops, no good guys. Tom Hardy's a bent copper mate, but you kind of like him because he's heart's in the right place. And there's criminal intrigue. There's a gang war going on. Neither of them are good guys either. There's betrayals going on. There's good cop, bad cop, and it's kind of like he wants to do like a gritty drama in the criminal underworld with like layers and complex characters, and you don't know who to trust, and it's like The Shield or something like that, and he's just not a good enough writer, I don't think, to sustain that at all, nor a director, really, to be honest. Tom Hardy is really bad in this film. I mean, this is like the worst Tom Hardy film or Tom Hardy performance I've seen in quite a while. The dialogue, it's not bad comedy in the Marvel-y sense. It's just kind of like just really bad attempts at doing hard-boiled cop like banter. It doesn't land at all. And then the second half of the film, this film very much feels like it doesn't want to be The Raid, but all the good stuff is when it is most like The Raid. There are some fun fights in it, not on that level, but there are some fun fights in it. There's a big nightclub brawl, and there's a big third act conclusion that it plays out in a cabin, an isolated cabin in the woods, a teeny tiny little boxy cabin where they have a big showdown, and it's cool. There's some very interesting kind of grotesque kills in it. It's got some good choreography and all this other stuff, but it's too little, too late. So that is the main problem with this film. It's I did think of The Raid 2 and your criticisms of The Raid 2 when credits were rolling. It's like he doesn't want to just come up with a premise that involves them going up through all these floors and fighting. Just get to the fights, which is what The Raid is, and it's one of the greatest films of the 21st century. It really feels like he doesn't want to be that. He wants to be like gangland dialogue man, and he's not that guy at all. Because he also works on that Gangs of London show now, not as the showrunner. He just directs the odd episode. It's a good show, but it just doesn't seem like he has the chops to do that kind of thing. The other problem as well is that this film is absolutely rancid looking. I mean, it is just absolutely disgusting. It is just, it reminds me of early to mid 2000s when everyone was like super enamored with the advancing CG, and you'd films like 300 and Sin City. And they weren't just using it. They were like leading into it. Like, yeah, we love this shit, and it's a part of our aesthetic, and we're doing it. And Sin City looks great. Like, Sin City is a very cool film. This has the look like it's going for kind of quasi comic booky, kind of pulpy, early 2000s, but with none of the finesse of even 300. And I'm no big fan of the way Snyder's films look, but you know what 300 looks like, and you kind of take it for what it is, and it has a unique aesthetic. This doesn't have it at all. I mean, it has the you know what's an effect I hate in basically any film where characters are either in a burning building or in like the mouth of a volcano or something like that. You know, the little embers and sparks. Any film made in the last 5 years, they look like the shittiest like Snapchat filter ever. This film has all of that, right? So you've got your crazy Garth Evans action on with it, where the bad guys are shooting up the cabin, and Tom Hardy's like, "Ah, fuck," and it's just like shitty smoke effects and wood chips flying, and you're like, these look like PS2 graphics flying in front of him. He doesn't look like he's like, John McClane covered in dirt and grime and glass falling on him. There's none of that stuff. And to tie it back into Sinners, one of the most incredible and impressive things in Sinners is the teeny tiny little detail at the very beginning when Michael B. Jordan plays twins in this film. By the way, for anyone who knows nothing about it, it's the classic one actor playing twins thing. They have an establishing shot right at the beginning where one of the Michael B. Jordans rolls a cigarette and then seamlessly passes it to himself, who, but in the film, is technically a different character. And you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of when a magician is on stage and he like chops some fruit with the sword he's about to stab himself with, right? Most people won't really care about this cigarette being passed out, but it's like showing your brain. It's like subconsciously showing your brain. It's like, look at this. These are two real characters who exist in this world. And the funny thing is, for the rest of the film, there's an awful lot of them not standing next to each other and things like that, because that's probably extremely fucking hard to do. Right at the beginning of the film, they establish these are two real people in this physical location leaning against the same car. They pass things back and forth from each other. It's not Michael B. Jordan and PS2 Michael B. Jordan standing next to each other. It's fucking great. It's so great. Yeah. And then in this film, you've got some really cool concepts for fights. And it's Tom Hardy sitting there, but the enemies are shooting at me. I'm taking cover behind this wooden wall, and the wood chips are flying everywhere. But they look like shitty Instagram filters. It just doesn't look. It just looks like you're sitting against, like I am right now, with a big green screen behind me, and someone's pasted a texture behind you. It looks awful. Super disappointing. I mean, I was really, really disappointed because the trailer looked good and the reviews weren't great, but they were like all right. I was kind of hopeful for it, but I was bored to tears in the first hour, and then when they finally pressed the action switch, I mean, everything was compromised with those visual issues. Yeah. So I don't think you will like it, Paul. I can say that much.
There was the one that wasn't directed by Gareth Evans. Was it The Night Comes for Us? Did you see
Night Comes for Us? Yeah.
That was okay. And I actually liked Gareth Evans' follow-up to Raid 2, the horror one he made.
Apostle? I actually haven't seen that, actually, yeah.
I quite liked Apostle. So it's not as if, I hate everything he does. I only like the Raid. But that kind of is the elephant in the room, is that the film and TV that he primarily makes is so within that ballpark that you're inevitably going to compare it to, as you said, one of the best action movies of the last 25 years.
And to be fair, even though this film obviously wants to not just be another one of those, there's also a shit ton of that stuff in there. So I don't feel bad for saying, look, you're letting me down here with your Raid-esque action, because it does have a lot of that. There's a lot of that in there, But disappointing. Hopefully he can. Again, I haven't seen Apostle. I heard it's great. Actually, I should watch that soon, actually, because
it's good.
It's really good.
It's good. Good. Add it to the Halloween list, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. What have you watched this week?
I have a weird old one. I watched a movie film directed by a Portuguese auteur called Miguel Gomes, called Grand Tour. Now, we talked about Sinners, really fun movie, very stylistic and very well done, but still kind of an entertaining movie. Grand Tour is more of an artsy vibes movie, I would say. Okay. So it's set in the period immediately after the First World War, and it's got quite a whimsical little storyline. It's about an English guy who kind of flees right before his wedding to Asia, and he's going from country to country in Asia as the woman that he left at the altar follows him.
Right.
And so it's kind of a catch me if you can kind of situation where she's like sending him telegrams going, I'm about to arrive in, Shanghai or whatever. And so he's like, oh, I've got to get the next boat over to Japan or whatever. And it's kind of a cat and mouse kind of situation. But the way that the film is actually told is through like documentary footage of the director's own trip through Asia. And so it feels like more of a travelogue with like a lot of narration, which has nothing to do with which is happening on screen. So you'll have like, and then Mark woke up in the morning and met with the local ambassador, Mr. Charles, whatever. And he as he came in, Charles was playing a strange stringed instrument, and they were talking about it. And on screen, you're just seeing footage of like a panda in a tree. And it's like it's a weird technique that I've never like seen in a movie, but it was like weirdly effective and kind of weirdly worked. But like the film does come off as like a documentary for a lot of it, and it also uses footage from the modern day, even though the film itself, the story of the film is set in like the late 1910s, but it never like really juxtaposes those in a way that's jarring or anything. You just watch it and take it in, and it barely even occurs to you that, oh, this footage is from the 2020s, as opposed to and it goes back and forth from like black and white to color. But it was really interesting. Like a lot of the visuals of the kind of the ways of life in some of these countries, and the visuals and sounds that they use were really, really interesting. But like the narrative is so wafer thin. It's just the lightest little thread to tie these kind of visuals and sounds together. But I found it really, interesting. I think because it's so artsy and so of that style, it's like if you had on one end of the spectrum, like the Minecraft, this is as far as you could get to the other end, to the point where most people probably wouldn't like it. And it's hard for me to even judge or score it because I'm so unused to that style of movie. It might be that this is a weaker one of those, but because my exposure to that kind of movie is so little, I was actually quite impressed by it. It has been getting very good reviews, to be fair. He did win Best Director at last year's Cannes Film Festival for this, which is why I wanted to check it out. And it was on Mubi.
So this is a recent joint.
It just came out to Mubi last month.
Okay.
And it's funny because, like I said, the two leads are English characters, but they're both played by Portuguese actors and speaking Portuguese. And the main actor is called like Gonçalo Waddington, so he probably is of some English background, but he is a Portuguese. They just speak Portuguese, and the film makes no bones about the fact that they're speaking Portuguese, and really, like the characters talk about them as if they were English, and so on and so forth. It's a really interesting little movie. I would hesitate to say it was a movie that most people would enjoy, that it was like entertaining in the classic way. But if you're in the mood for something really different and something a bit more vibey and something a bit more, like I said, documentary style almost, even though it doesn't have like a narrative to the documentary, it has this like false narrative. I guess it's almost similar to like if they made something in the style of Nirvana the band, but it wasn't a comedy. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
If they obviously the director just had all this footage of like visiting these really obscure places in Southeast Asia, and then created shot some scenes to tie it together in kind of a narrative. Very, very interesting. And yeah, I did quite like it.
Alrighty.
Grand Tour.
Grand Tour on a movie. Movie is always a solid little sub. They've a great collection of stuff on there. Jumping into the telegoff. Have you started Last of Us, Paul?
I'm caught up. I've watched the first two. Yeah.
What did you make of it?
I thought the episodes were both very good. I will say I was watching it with two people who have not played the game.
Fabulous.
So that second episode, my heart was thumping, knowing where we were going. And there was the moment where one girl asked me, "He's not actually going to die here, is he?" And I was like, silence, and maybe my silence spoke more than words ever could. But no, I thought they were two very good episodes. I like what they did with the Ellie character. I know that they, as we discussed last week, they did rejigger some stuff around, I guess, to make it work more as a TV show for people who haven't played the games. Mm-hmm. And I think most of it worked. I would struggle to really point out anything that I felt like, and also you don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, but the way the game did it was so good, and it was. Yeah. But like, look, if they were just remaking the game one for one, that would be a little bit dull. So I appreciate doing some stuff differently. I thought the like siege of the town was pretty exciting as well. Yeah. I like Caitlin Deaver as Abby. I thought she was very good in it. Yeah, not many notes. I watched both episodes back to back as well, and I feel like that might have, like, I've seen some people who weren't so hot on the first episode but enjoyed the second one. Maybe that allowed me to be a little bit forgiving because I was watching it in one one bulk watch. But yeah, thumbs up from me. I quite enjoyed it in totality, and it's exciting to see where it goes because, you know, as you and I know, Barry, the story of Last of Us 2 is extremely strong, the game I'm talking about. So there's a lot of really good shit to come, and I'm hoping that they'll pull it off.
Yeah.
Although
I think we... Go on.
I was just going to say, the fact that there's only 7 episodes this season, and we've got about half an hour into the game,
yes,
would lead me to believe that and I don't know whether this was 100% confirmed, but the word is that this is going to be a half season type deal, or the season will be half the game. So for people who maybe haven't played the game, to set their expectations that, you know, you've basically had your finale in episode 2, and that it might end with kind of a to be continued, as opposed to having a big blowout finale this year.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was only 7 episodes. I think I tweeted during the week. I was like, doing some kind of rough maths in your head, and also based on like what's in the trailers and what's not. I feel like they're going to have a tough road to hoe. I think I have to imagine this is going to end not like a cliffhanger, or it's going to just really annoy people. It's just going to really...
Yeah, so, but if you go in knowing that, like my friends who haven't played the game, I kind of explain that to them to set their expectations. Like this is what's most likely going to happen.
Yeah, they definitely said they were splitting the second game into more than one season, and then I think the day of the premiere they announced they are doing season 3. So they've started a season 3. So yeah, hopefully they nailed that. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff to come. And the other thing as well is that, like, you know, I don't think this is like any kind of spoiler. There's like a lot of flashbacks. There'll be a lot of Pedro Pascal in these next few episodes. I'm moderately confident in that. Because there's a lot of crucial stuff they just haven't gotten to that will be covered during that period. But yeah, what else have you been watching this week?
Oh, lots. Andor is back.
Oh yeah,
yeah, folks. The one Star Wars thing that people go, no, but honestly, this is good. So they're also rolling this out in a weird way where they're doing 12 episodes, 3 per week for 4 weeks. So the first 3 episodes have already dropped, and then this coming Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it comes out, we'll have episodes 4 through 6. So you're getting 3 hours a week of it, which is a little bit more than I like to watch a week, but that's fine. So I have watched the first 3. Happy to report that the standard is still been kept fairly high. Episode 3 in particular, I thought was really great. And so, you know, Tony Gilroy and the team have not shit the bed, I'm happy to report. So Andor, episodes 1 to 3 still... I think episode 1 was a little bit weak, I'll be honest. And if they had put it out on its own, I expect there would have been a lot of negative feedback to it. Because Star Wars, at the end of the day, is still a property for people of all ages to enjoy. But this first episode was a load of people talking, and the kids would have saying, "Mommy, this is boring as shit."
Where's Baby Yoda? Is he in this one?
But by episode 3, I mean, I thought episode 3 was great. I mean, I thought the first 3, the arc that was told in this first kind of bulk release of episodes, I thought was very strong. So I think I don't think they're doing another season after this. I want to say this is going to be it.
When they announced the show, they said it was 2 seasons, and that'll basically bring them up to Rogue One, basically. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I don't quite get the sense yet that they're. Well, I mean, that they're I'm going to say building to Rogue One, but then the start of Rogue One is a little bit like hodgepodge, getting this guy from here, this guy from here. So it's not as if they're really going to build to it, because like at the start of Rogue One, does Diego like Cassian Andor? Does he even know about? Is he in it, or does he kind of get pulled in? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think he's already in on the Rebels.
Okay, so they will then presumably have something to build towards. And
there was also in the first season they did a fairly big time jump, didn't they? There's, do you know what I mean? Like that season spans like a year or something. I'm fairly sure.
Well, season 1 end with like the Death Star being built or something, and then I guess season 2 will end with literally probably the first scene from Rogue One or some shit, you know.
I kind of hope it doesn't, but I feel like it probably.
They love it.
Probably, yeah. It's still Star Wars. At the end of the day, they gotta have, and he will also once again bump into the guy who goes, "I don't like you either." In Rogue One, but he will also bump into you again. This is why I don't like you. You keep bumping into me. And Chewbacca, by the way, in the background. Hello.
Who would be a great like stupidly pointless character that they can bump, like Dengar or something?
I mean, because he's such a minor character who lives in a little hovel, I mean, like Watto being near the rebel base for some particular reason would be pretty good.
Saboba. So that's Andor. It's still very good. Studio, another strong episode this week, I thought. Very very funny. Did you watch that one this week, Joe? Or have you been watching the show?
No, not up to date.
Okay, well, latest episode,
waiting for them.
Very funny. I won't spoil it, of course, but it was one of the funnier ones, I think, of the season, maybe since the first episode. The topic was kind of, or the theme of the episode was kind of how people perceive working in the film industry as kind of not actually a very important job. And of course, Seth Rogen not being very happy about that. So it's very funny. I mean, the studio, I think, is one of my sleeper hits of the year so far. I think it's been consistently great, and something I look forward to every week. So I mean, you know, you got me to watch This Is the End again as well, which is also very funny. So Rogen and Goldberg, let's get the next movie out once we're done with this season of the studio, and then let's do another season of the studio as well. Let's do it. It's fucking great. Speaking of great, Righteous Gemstones. Only 2 episodes left in that show's run, so that's going to be donezo. I might need to watch Eastbound and Down or Vice Principals, because I've never watched either.
Me neither, and I've had them lined up for ages.
I mean, definitely through watching Gemstones, I've become a big McBride fan. So I feel like I'm predisposed to enjoy them if I watch them, but also I do feel like, having started with the 3rd one of the main series he's done with HBO, I'm worried that there might be a bit of like stepping back to the early stuff would be a little bit rougher, a little bit less finessed, but we'll see. I mean, Righteous Gemstones continues to be just an absolute riot. And then finally for me, The Rehearsal Season 2, Episode 1. Have you guys had a chance to watch that yet?
No, I still haven't, unfortunately.
So I'm obviously loath to talk any elements of it in that case, since you guys haven't seen it. I will just say that it was very, very good. There's a little element of the start of season 1 where you almost have to have a somewhat normal beginning so that it can then, in episodes 2, 3, 4, envelop in on top of itself and become something weird and something totally different. So it was a very interesting direction they're going with this season. And I'm very excited to see how he warps that into something completely different, as he did with season 1, which I will reaffirm that season 1 of The Rehearsal, one of the best television shows of all. That's it for me.
Any Telly Joe?
Ooh, yeah, I watched all of Black Mirror of the last.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sorry, not all of Series 7.
The new one, yeah.
All of Black Mirror, yeah. I'll give you my quick run through of the episodes. Thumbs up, thumbs down. So, episode 1, Common People, starring Rashida Jones and Chris O'Dowd. Didn't love this one because it just felt a bit overly familiar with episodes they've done in the past. Second episode, Bête Noire, was a lot more fun. So it gets into kind of gaslighting. It's tech, but in a very kind of fantastical way. So that was fun. Hotel Reverie was the third episode and the longest and worst for me episode of the run. Issa Rae, Awkwafina, Emma Corrin. Very good cast, but the premise was just awful. I thought it was just didn't work for me whatsoever. Episode 4, Plaything, is Charlie Brooker said the most autobiographical sort of one he's done. So it's about a journalist at PC Zone magazine in the 90s, which I think was Charlie Brooker actually worked there doing game reviews. So again, very interesting one. Stars Peter Capaldi as the kind of main character. And he's tremendous in it. Kind of almost not quite a one-man show, but he is very much about the main character's performance. Similarly for Eulogy, 5th episode, which I think was my favourite of the series, which starred heavyweight actor Paul Giamatti as a kind of man using technology to explore sort of regret, a big regret in his life through old photos that are kind of brought to life. That was really, really good. He is tremendous. It's fabulous performance. Probably should be a Emmy Award winning one, I would think. And then the final episode was USS Callister Into Infinity, which is actually the first sequel episode they've done in Black Mirror history. It was a sequel to USS Callister with Jesse Plemons from several years ago. I think the reason they did it is because Kristen Milotti was in that episode, and now that she's kind of blown up,
she's a big star.
They're like, we'll get her back.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just guessing, but she takes on the kind of main role in this one. So this was quite fun. It was sort of a lot more bonkers than the original episode that it follows. But
right.
Yeah, it was certainly a fun one. Was kind of, I'm going to say cinematic without sounding too much like a WWE fan, but it was kind of, you could see this as a movie more than one of those Black Mirror that's so good you kind of think, they probably could have made that like a 90-minute actual film.
Yeah.
A bit like San Junipero or Eulogy or some of the others, yeah. But overall, actually quite a good series. I thought Black Mirror was kind of washed after the last one, but I don't know, they brought it back. I'd say 4 out of 6 for me were... Actually, 4 out of 6 were good, and I think that's a pretty good hit rate for...
I got to start watching Black Mirror. I've never watched a single second.
Give it a bloody go.
Yeah, I was about to get shocked, and I remember you said that last week.
Yeah. Add it to the list.
Yeah, you would like it. It's it's hit and miss, but more hits than misses.
Yeah. I like that kind of Twilight Zone type show. I don't know if Black Mirror is exactly that, but I that kind of format.
It's pretty that. It's pretty that. What if that, but written by Charlie Brooker and instead of plain What If Phone, That's, but no, it is good. And with Joe's endorsement, I'm now more inclined to check out that new season.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the game front, I wrapped up a couple of games I've been playing for the last couple of weeks. I beat Blade and Chimera, which is the kind of Metroidvania thing from the Bloodstained developers. Quite good. Just a couple of hours. Pretty good fun on the PC and on the Switch as well, if you're so inclined. I didn't quite beat, but I got to an ending in Keep Driving, which is the kind of like road trip game. Very fun. Very, very fun. Tons of mysteries and intrigue. It's kind of like a deck builder, but it also has a little bit of kind of choose your own adventure about it in a way I was pleasantly surprised with. Like at some point I was running perilously low on gas money, but I bought a knife because there was one for sale in the shop. The game doesn't tell you what it does, because there's no combat in the game in that sense. But I was like, well, I want it, and then I won't spoil it. But it's like it has a use later, and I was like, well, I bought the knife, and it pays off. It's a game full of little things like that, like picking up hitchhikers, and you don't know what they're going to do. It's very clever, good fun. And then with clearing those off the old slate, I started Atomfall. Have you kept up with this, Paul?
It's a survival game, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to categorize, because people have kind of described it as kind of like a British Fallout, because obviously it's a
Atomfall. Yeah, makes sense.
You're an amnesiac nameless character who wakes up in a bunker and has just enough amnesia to justify him asking every single character, what's going on in this world? What's the lore of this world? Why is there nuclear fallout? What's happened? But it's not, you don't play it like a Fallout game at all. It is a survival game. It is like one of those like multiplayer, you're in the woods kind of scrambling around for any spare shotgun shell. Now, it's not multiplayer, it's an entirely offline thing. So if you've ever been intrigued by that concept, but you're like, I don't want to play with other people, maybe this will be your jam. It's set in kind of alternate future England, and it has all those sensibilities about it. And I only just kind of booted it up. It's too kind of early for me to tell. I don't know if I'm into those kind of games, those kind of like, kind of punishing, kind of, you have to fight for every single bullet you find. I don't know if that's kind of my thing. But it looks nice, and it's an interesting idea, and the alternate timeline that they have is interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm too early to really comment on it, but yeah, that's my next thing. And keep still playing Avowed and still playing South of Midnight, which is great. What about you?
Well, I have finished Avowed.
Finished? Wow,
finished. I played a ton of it this last week, because I think when we talked last, I was in the third section, so I blitzed through the last section. Then, very fun. I think better than the reviews gave it credit for. Although, I will say, in the last hour and a half, it does become one of those kill another wave of enemies kind of slog fests. You know what I mean?
Right.
Turn a corner, oh, more enemies. Turn a corner, oh, more. Oh, there's one of those enemies that takes forever to kill. Turn a corner, oh, now there's two of them. Oh, great. So, I did reach the point where I whack this down to baby difficulty now, get this game done.
Yeah.
But very, very enjoyable. I did pretty much, maybe not all, but pretty much all the side quests I came across, all the bounties, all the treasure maps. Pretty much tried squeezing much out. I think I probably beat it in maybe 35 to 40. I'm not sure the exact now. It does have a time thing when you save, but then that jumped up. I think I might have left it on or something by mistake. It jumped up like two days and 20 hours. I'm like, okay, there's no way I played it for that long. But I would say probably in the 35 to 40 range to not 100% it, but do loads.
Well, do everything. Yeah, you say you do all the treasures and the bounties. That's fair enough. Yeah. I mean that's a helping. Because those bounties often lead to like big fights. I've done all of them that I've come across so far. Yeah, and like it's just really solidly fun, because like even those bounties, it's not like that they're all the greatest quests I've ever been on, but they're all like satisfying. You go there, it's a big enemy, or it's a new enemy, or it's a little group of bandits that will talk to you. There's like something to every thread, and I think there's a lot to be said for a game like this that's big and it's open world, but it's not so big. Everything still feels curated and well made and handcrafted.
For sure.
I'm starting to burn out on Assassin's Creed Shadows a little bit at the moment, because even though it's one of the better ones in a while, it's still just fucking gigantic. And it's a 2-character story, and I still haven't unlocked the second character yet. And already I'm feeling like the side quests are repeating on me, and I'm like, all right, it might be time to just mainline this story and get it done. So Avowed doesn't have that problem.
No, Avowed keeps itself fresh for pretty much the duration of its lifespan. And the 4 kind of main areas are different enough from each other that it keeps it interesting. I would like to see a little bit more variety in the enemies, is the only thing. By the end, you're still fighting those lizard men and bears.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, all right, come on. In this whole other like side of the country, we can have some different enemies. But yeah, very good. I enjoyed my time with it. And then we got the news in the week that they were doing an Oblivion Remaster, finally confirmed, and it's dropping today. And so I said, oh, Vivid, time for some nostalgia. So I popped in, when did that come out? Was it Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, middle of the week. Very, very
middle of the week. So I'm about 10 hours in already. So I played Oblivion when it first came out. This was in the pre-CSP days. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, the Skyrim before Skyrim.
Yes.
So I played it on the original Xbox 360 when it came out. I got a lovely deluxe edition of it. I didn't know what Elder Scrolls was. I just saw videos of it. I said, that game looks real cool. And that was kind of my first true open world game I ever played. Oblivion. And so for me, it's one of those milestone games where I was like, oh my God, in this game, you can actually go anywhere and do anything. And so I remember making my character, and the first thing I did was run up to one of the towns and then spent like 6 hours only in that one town, talking to everybody and doing all the quests. And so actually for this gameplay, I did exactly the same thing. Went to that same town, did the same quest, talked to the same people. I am a cat person for the first time. I've never been a Khajiit in those games. Yeah. So you can see in the dark, which is one of the perks of that race. But I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving it. It's very, very nostalgic. It's one of those, I think, the coziest games I ever played, because I was in one of the towns and the music was playing, and then it started raining in the town. I was like, oh, this is just so hitting me in all the right ways. I think it's a much more interesting game than Skyrim, I gotta say. Although Skyrim mechanically plays better, you could do the two-handed spell casting, and you could do the kind of... But like the towns in Skyrim were all kind of samey to me. The whole overworld was kind of the same, snowy, mountainous. So yeah, like while I love Skyrim, it was a little samey. Oblivion is much more varied in its like town architecture. All the towns look and feel different. There's one that's got very tall buildings and very narrow streets. It feels like it's kind of closing in on you. And then you got other, you've got your snowy town, and then you've got your town where it's got like different levels to it. So the castle's on the top level and all the kind of poor people live on the bottom level. And so all the towns feel super different, whereas the Skyrim, they were kind of copied and pasted to an extent, with some exceptions, Solitude. And the quests are really fun. I just did a quest there where one of the lords of, or the ladies of one of the towns had like a painting stolen. And so it gives you like access to the castle, and you have like 5 suspects that you have to interrogate. And Oblivion has this mini game where you like can try to boost someone's opinion of you. So you can tell them a joke or compliment them. And sometimes they'll react well. Sometimes they're like, you have the four different ones, and sometimes it gives a happy face or an angry face. And so you're trying to, they won't tell you the information until they trust you, you know? So you're interrogating them, and then once you have an idea of who it was, you then have to go and find physical evidence. It's always a great little like side quest you could totally skip. It's like this whole little like detective mystery. I think the quests in Oblivion are actually way more creative and fun than Skyrim as well. Like Oblivion feels like a much more fun game than Skyrim was. And of course, it being a remaster or a remake, whatever you want to call it, one thing that they've done that I do endearingly enjoy is that it's still quite janky in that classic.
Yeah.
Bethesda way before it became annoying. So I had like the lighting in the game stopped working. So it was nighttime. It was nighttime, and the way that the lighting was distributed across the world, it was as if I was in like a disco. Very strange, but I love it. So yeah, so it's also one of those games where, like, we complained about this with Starfield that had no exploration. So I'm walking from one town to another. One thing, by the way, from the out, they give you the ability to fast travel to any town, which I don't think was the case for the original game. But I'll set a marker down and I'll walk there. And then on the way, I'll find the cave. And I'll say, okay, I'll do this one cave. And I do the cave and I say, oh, but I'm almost at the marker. I'll walk a little bit more. And then I find the fort. Oh, well, I'll do this fort then. And then I say, okay, I'm almost there. Oh, another cave. And so before I know it, it's kind of that football manager thing where I've said, I'll just do this one cave. And then I look down, and it's 4 in the morning. For 7 hours. It's one of them. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. Just hitting all the nostalgia itches in the right way, and just adore it.
I mean, it was Skyrim before Skyrim, and I think it's like, I think obviously Skyrim's success maybe overshadows it, but for whippersnappers who don't know, I mean, it was one of those early 360 games where you go, the Xbox 360. It was incredible. It was absolutely, and I was like you, someone who knew nothing about the Elder Scrolls. It really was the big kind of like, you're going to have to take a punt on a role-playing game, even if it's not your thing, because this is the most boundary-pushing thing you can play on a console right now. Yeah. I've gotten around to it yet. I don't want to start it while I'm still playing Avowed. I don't want to play two games that are so obviously sharing the same DNA. I would like to finish Avowed.
It's hard because I do keep pressing the wrong button. So jump in Oblivion, for example, is Y on the Xbox, whereas in Avowed it's A. Stuff like that, I'm still, I pressed the wrong thing. But one other thing as well about Oblivion, what was I going to say? Oh, God. I forget what my point was. I had some, lost it. Oh, well, not to worry. It must have been that important.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be playing Oblivion for quite a while, so you'll have more weeks to
For sure.
Before we wrap up, any music up for the week?
Oh, I remember what the thing was. One thing I like about Oblivion is instead of like getting XP from beating characters or finding locations and then you level up and then you choose what to put your stats into, your like sword statistic goes up by virtue of you using it a ton. So it still has that old thing of like jumping up a mountain to get your acrobat up. And I really like that system that they use because the way you play the game directly impacts the way that your character improves.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I believe that hasn't endured that type of leveling, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I guess with how homogenized a lot of these games have become, it's nice to play a game that has that different way of doing it.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then music. New Ghost album dropped, as the kids say, in the week. I did not really like their previous album, which a lot of the fans actually loved that previous album. I think I was one of the minority who wasn't super hot on it. Skeletá, which is the new one, is a little bit more consistent and is a little bit more of a hybrid between that new style and the old style. So Ghost, for their early 3 albums, I would say, were more of a late 60s, 70s kind of rock metal throwback. And then with Prequel and more so moving into Impera, they became kind of an 80s arena rock band. You know, as bands get big, they'll transition to more of an arena rock style. That's fine. But I never really thought that the Ghost mythos merged or meshed well with 80s arena rock. So when I listen to Ghost, I would like them to sound a little bit more like Black Sabbath than like Journey. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I never really got on with the previous album. This one, like I say, is a little bit more of a kind of a hybrid between those two sounds. It's a little ballad heavy and it's a little a little too straight. And what I mean by that is a lot of Ghost's earlier stuff that I really enjoy is kind of done with a knowing wink. Like, oh, we're the satanic band or whatever, but like it's a bit of fun, you know. Whereas here, like one of the singles they love, Lacrima, the chorus goes, I'm done crying over someone like you. I'm done crying. Hope you're feeling it too. It's like those lyrics are like throughout the album it has this feeling of like dumbed down, I guess, for the sake of that arena rocks sound, right? There's one song in particular towards the end called Excelsis, which sounds a lot like He Is, which is one of their previous hits. And He Is a song patterned like a Christian rock / hymn, but is actually about the devil. Oh, naughty boys. This sounds like that without the knowing wink. And so when you do it without the knowing wink, there's an element of, oh, it's a little bit lame. It's a little bit too like, oh, I'm actually just a sad little boy. Oh. And so I feel like with Skeletá, they've moved so far towards that arena rock sound that they've kind of left the whole kind of idea of the band behind, that they've just become a typical rock band now. The gimmick is kind of hanging on by a thread at this stage, honestly. Which is fine if the music is great. So while I feel like it's more consistent than the previous album, there also isn't the highs of the previous album. Of course, I thought the last album had like 3 or 4 songs that I couldn't stand, and it doesn't have those either. It is more middle of the road throughout, which I think kind of lends itself to being a slightly better album. But also, like, I really loved on the previous album songs like Hunter's Moon, Respite on the Spittlefields, Call Me Little Sunshine. Like, it doesn't necessarily have a song. I think there's one track on the album that maybe is as good as those, called Mark of the Evil. But apart from that, it's a little bland and it's a little forgettable. But I think it's still kind of, like, for me, it'd be like a 7 out of 10 maybe. A little bit better, a little bit more listenable than the previous album. But again, I kind of liked that camp, and I kind of liked that note of the gimmick of the band, and I feel like they've kind of moved a little. But it's okay.
Okay. That's good for this week's show. We will be back next week. Next week is a bank holiday, folks. I don't know.
These holidays coming quick and fast.
There'll be a show at some point in the future. We'll double check schedules and all that.
Well, this is one of those things, though, where in some countries it's the 1st of May, that's the bank holiday, / 2nd of May, because that's a Thursday, Friday. But in Ireland, we get the 5th of May off, the Monday.
We get the Monday.
There might be some misalignment on that.
But we'll be back. You know how that goes, folks.
Well,
we'll be back next week. We'll be talking, probably we'll have another Last of Us to discuss, more Oblivion, more AE Dub on the road, Double or Nout, as they're calling it just now, when I invented that phrase.
Oh, I cancelled my Netflix, so the WWE reviews are over.
Oh, rest in peace. But how are you going to watch Havoc?
Fuck you, WWE. Fuck you, WWE.
How are you going to watch Havoc without your Netflix subscription?
There are ways.
I'll add you to my Plex, it's fine. ChairShotPodcast.com is where you can go to email us, and also where you can check out the Fantasy League in real time. I may be in second, but I'm still confident enough to say the injuries are stacking up, boys. Time to make some decisions on somebody. I'm putting the pressure on you here.
I will say,
folks, thank you very much.
I'll say Hologram came back on Collision.
Oh, interesting.
From a fancy point of view, Hologram's back, folks. He never loses. He always wins.
So tune in next week to see if anyone takes Paul's bait there. We will be back next week if you want to pop us an email. Until then, it's goodbye from me, Barry. It's goodbye from Paul. Goodbye. It's goodbye from Joe.
Goodbye, everybody.